Oh my gosh, more and more keeps coming out, and it's just like, before we get into today's video, I just want to let you guys know that this video is for educational purposes only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope you all are having a wonderful week. You guys, the amount of updates that have been rolling out and, the trickles of the documents, which we knew was going to happen, has been hard to keep up with, but whoa, do we have a lot to talk about today. Before we go any further, I did want to stop and thank today's sponsor, Quince. If you are tired of chasing quality across like dozens of different stores, whether it's home goods or everyday essentials or clothing items. I know for me, I'm constantly watching reviews online, trying to figure out where I can get good quality stuff that is going to last, but also looks good at the same time. Or if you're online, like overpaying for items, and then when you finally get them, they're low quality. Well, Quince brings it all together from one destination. You can get premium quality and affordable prices. Quince is truly a one-stop shop where you can find things like cast iron Dutch ovens, beautiful Italian leather bags, baby and kid items, all kind of stuff for travel, apparel, jewelry, and so much more. Quince brings all of these high-end essentials together in one place. I got this white 100% European linen fit flare midi dress, and I paired it with this 100% organic cotton sweater jacket. You guys, this sweater jacket is so nice that it can be worn as either a sweater or it could definitely double as a blazer with maybe some khaki pants or even some jeans. It is very high quality and so nice, and a piece that I believe will be a staple in my closet for many years to come. And don't even get me started on this dress. If y'all know me, I love dresses. I wear dresses probably 4 days out of the week. And this dress is so nice that the very day that I got it and put it on, I turned around and ordered the same exact dress in the color flax. And they even come with like a built-in slip. They come with pockets on both sides, and I will probably end up ordering the one in navy blue as well. If you want to upgrade your wardrobe, your home, and more with high-end essentials from Quince, all you gotta do is click the link down in the description box to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Yes, all you gotta do is click the link down in the description box and you can get free shipping and 365-day returns today. Thanks again, Quince. So, okay, once again, so much new information has come out about Bryan Kohberger since my last video. So much that I'm actually going to do 2 videos, you guys. We're gonna dip our toe in the water today, and on Friday, we're just gonna let the floodgates open. We're gonna let her rip because, oh my gosh. Now, first today, I wanna talk about the investigation into Bryan's phone and hard drive. Okay, so this lady named Heather, and I believe it's her husband, Jared, it's Heather and Jared Barnhart, who work for Celebrite, have come out and spoke about what they found on Bryan's phone during their investigation. They say that they were actually contacted by the FBI, and they were both scheduled to testify at Bryan's trial. Now that the trial is no longer happening, they're actually able to come out and say exactly what they found on Bryan's devices that they thought was very eerie. So in an interview with journalist Bryan Enton, which mind you, Bryan Enton is doing a phenomenal job covering all of this stuff. Like, oh my gosh, he is everywhere at all times, it seems like. Nevertheless, he did an interview with Heather and Jared, and they said that they were able to get the exact same phone that Bryan had. So they were going to demonstrate for the jury exactly what they believe Bryan's data shows that he did leading up to the incident and what he did afterwards. So first, they said that Bryan only had 18 personal contacts in his phone, okay? Which I guess isn't totally weird. But then they said that some of them were named like girl I ran with, instead of like, say, Michelle or April, or, Michelle works at the grocery store, but it was just straight girl I ran with, second girl I ran with. One of them said hair, just like hair. And then he had his mom and dad as mother and father, which they say that Bryan referred to them by those names in text messages too. And some people online are saying that like it's giving like Bates Motel, Norma, and Norman Bates. Anyways, plus his sisters and just a few other contacts that he had in his phone. And before we go any further with that, this is where I just kind of want to sprinkle in my opinion for those of y'all out there that still believe that Bryan did not commit this crime on his own. And listen, we're all entitled to our own opinions. I welcome the challenging thoughts over here in the comments section, because Lord knows I don't know everything, and I love to hear a difference of opinions. But this one, I'm standing on this hill with this one, you guys. Bryan did this all by himself. Listen, this is not a guy that had a lot of options, okay? He's not the type of guy who you're going to meet at the bar and go, hey, I want to commit a crime with you. Like, the man had 18 contacts in his phone, and so many of them was hair, girl I ran with, mother, father. So please. Anyways, Heather and Jared also talked about how Bryan did in fact call his mother less than 2 hours after the incident, and he was actually on the phone with her that day for over 3 hours in total. They even mentioned that one of the phone calls lined up with the time that Bryan was driving by the scene the morning after. So he's like on the phone with his mom driving by the scene. They said that Bryan would constantly be on the phone with his parents. It was normal behavior for him. They said that if his mom didn't answer, he would immediately text father and say, why hasn't mother answered my text message? I mean, it's just giving quirky with that. I'm not going to say that that's super like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, because I know some just quirky, could have to do with, some personality traits or whatever, but it's interesting to say the least, especially interesting if you think that he was close enough with another person to commit these crimes with them and never ever bring them up to get out of it when he was going through all of this stuff. These two investigators also said that he constantly called and texted his parents, sometimes starting as early as even 5 a.m. And according to them, he rarely communicated with anyone else other than mother and father. Interestingly, the two investigators that were looking into his phone said that 2 days before the incident, he completely shut the Wi-Fi off on his phone. I'm believing so it wouldn't pick up while he was stalking them. While he was going around to different places, his Wi-Fi wouldn't automatically connect, and he did not turn the Wi-Fi back on his phone until after the crime had been committed. And speaking of Wi-Fi, I have seen some reporting about whether or not Bryan's phone at some point had connected to the Wi-Fi at the Mad Greek restaurant that Maddie worked at, and I believe Kaylee even worked at some point. And here's what Heather and Jared said about that.
It was in the Google Maps cache, which means if you open Google Maps and you search for nearby restaurants, or if you typed in Mad Greek, it was physically on his phone. He could see it, but it doesn't show that he connected to the Wi-Fi. It just shows that he had interest in that restaurant. And sadly, there wasn't a timestamp associated with it. It was in a passive file, a passive assist associated to Google Maps.
Then they talked about Bryan intentionally turning his phone off. And this was so fascinating to me. Listen to this.
There's a gap in time that we see in his cellular records from this minute, in the middle of the night until this minute in the middle of the night. And so our focus was looking at that period of time and then also looking for any connection to the victims, because that was something that they hadn't achieved yet either.
Well, we figured out it was intentionally turned off and that his phone was at 100% battery power and that it was a manual power down. So that's a big thing. If your battery dies, it doesn't mean you went out and committed a murder. But the fact that you turned off Wi-Fi, manually turned off your phone was charged at 100%, that you never turn off your phone every single day. I shouldn't say never. It's not normal behavior for Bryan Kohberger to turn off his phone.
The fact that they can tell whether your phone just died or whether you manually took your phone and turned it off is interesting. And the fact that they can look at patterns, so they can go, okay, Christina never turns her phone off. Maybe I'll tell y'all straight up, I turn my phone off honestly probably like 5 times a year if it's frozen, or if I'm like, man, it needs a reboot. You start thinking that, why is it running slow? Okay, I'll turn my phone off. But other than that, I never turn my phone off. So if I just randomly turned it off 2 hours, like, you know what I mean? They can actually look at your phone and tell when you manually turn it off, or whether it dies from the battery, or whether it's on airplane mode. And that is fascinating. And mind you, they also said you can't be riding around taking pictures of the stars if your phone is off, and also if it's cloudy, but we've covered that in other videos. They also talked about how there were like all these gaps in his data, which showed what they believed meant that he cleaned up his phone. They said that he actually used a program called Eraser, and he had been using NordVPN and even incognito mode on Google. And oh my gosh, the amount of people that think that you can do that to like commit crimes or download certain images. Just don't do it. And if you want to do it, get help. But you know what I mean? Like, they still can see and know that, right? But even with all of that, he still did not clean up as much as he thought he had. They said that Bryan's data on his phone showed that he had been searching, you guys, serial killers on Christmas night, okay? Nothing like an old holy night, a nice family Christmas dinner, opening some Christmas gifts, being in your Christmas PJs, and then going and searching up serial killers back on Christmas of 2022, after he had done fled from Idaho all the way to Pennsylvania. Okay, they said that he was on a serial killer timeline website, that he had actually downloaded PDFs on full timelines of these people's crimes. Like, he was following, okay, after they did this, how long until they committed their next one? Maybe I should wait a couple weeks and make sure that those cops that pulled me over when I was on the way here, they're not on to me. Now, he downloaded a few of these, but the one that stuck out to me is the fact that Heather and Jared said that Bryan downloaded a PDF on Danny Rolling. Now, I've actually done a video on that case in the past, and I'll pop it up right here, and you guys can go and watch it if you want to know more. But as a little synopsis, Danny Rolling is known as the Gainesville Ripper. He ended the lives of 5 college students in Gainesville, Florida, back in August of 1990. Guess what Danny used? A K-bar knife on his victims while they slept in their beds. I have chills even saying it. Think about that, you guys. On Christmas night, he's downloading the PDFs of the timelines, and it just happened to be, I mean, come on. A lot of people have said that Bryan could have been doing this as like research for his schoolwork, but it has also since come out, and we'll talk about this more in my next video, that Bryan actually was not doing well in school by this point. As a matter of fact, Heather and Jared made a point of this in their interview with Bryan Enton.
A lot of the stuff that you see on his devices, you kind of excuse it because of his major, but this doesn't qualify.
And he was also not doing well in school anymore. As of December 15th, he had issues with professors, and he was not turning in any work or doing grades. So for him to go from not doing any work to, oh, I have to do all this serial killer research on Christmas night, just doesn't make sense.
Something else that they said that I find very interesting is that Bryan's data shows that he Googled the words wiretapping and psychopath paranoia and serial killers on December 29th, just before his arrest. They also mentioned that some of his Google searches made it seem like he may have been trying to get rid of his car after reading an article with his car description listed in it.
Oh yeah, on 12/29, he searched for psychopath paranoia. Those exact words, serial killer and wiretapping. So we think he was becoming more paranoid. Jared found some cool stuff that he was looking at regarding the car and possibly getting rid of his car.
Yeah, so on the 29th, it seemed like he was sort of mentally imploding, maybe feeling some pressure somehow from law enforcement. But at 9:02 in the morning, he searched wiretap and then like federal wiretap, so a couple different ways of looking for wiretapping. At 9:08 a.m., he read a New York Times article. The interesting part of this is in this article, they specifically say the police are still looking for, and they describe his car perfectly. And so that obviously I think was a pressure point because if not for the sheath, at least in that initial phase, the car was the standout other item to look for. Um, at 9:09 a.m., so just a minute later, he read an Idaho homicides update page from out there somewhere. Right after that, he looks for auto detailing shops around where he lived in Pennsylvania. So they're looking for the car. They update about what's going on. I need to get my car cleaned. And then a few minutes later, he's shopping to buy a new car, a used car, but a new used car to him. Different makes and models, certainly not Hyundai's, not Elantras, and not white.
Now, you guys, come on. Come, please. This guy was Googling, and mind you, continued to Google his own name over and over again, trying to see if there were any hits of anybody looking for him. And when he Googles it and he sees that they're looking for his car, he immediately goes and tries to figure out how to get rid of his car. I mean, it's almost like he bought a K-bar knife 8 months before the incident, and then a couple days after the incident was looking for a sheath replacement for the one that was lost at the crime scene. Like, this is so, like, I can just see the investigators being like, we got him, but without that DNA, they didn't have him. I mean, they could have tried to explain everything away. Wow. Heather and Jared also talked about Bryan's, we'll just say like adult entertainment searches. They said that his search terms included words like non-consensual acts, sleeping, and voyeurism. And so from the very beginning, when people were saying online that they believe that this was a crime by incel, you'll never convince me at this point that it was anything other than that. This was a guy that wanted some real bad and started obsessing over all of these things, the things that he was researching, and thought he was the smartest one in the room and thought, I can do it better than them. I can do it better than BTK. I can actually get away with this. But he didn't. And he was preparing himself by watching this type of content so he could go in and do it. Disgusting. They also said that Bryan took a lot of selfies of himself, and they say that they were shirtless selfies of him flexing his muscles. And listen, whatever, to that. But when you put it all together, and they said that they didn't think it was totally weird, but they thought it was strange that he never did any things with these photos. And listen, take all the pictures of yourself you want, especially if they're progress photos. Maybe you're in the gym, but he wasn't. And he never posted them on social media. He never sent them to anyone. It's almost like the pictures were just for himself. And again, I don't think that there is anything wrong with that to a degree. Progress pictures, or maybe, you take 20 selfies and you turn around, look at them, they're all ugly. You're like, I'm not posting them. You don't delete them on your phone, whatever. But this is a different situation. Heather says that in one of the photos that he took of himself, you could see his mother sitting in the background. And I just have to wonder, like, what is she doing? Is she like sitting back there, like knitting? And he's like in the house, like the old, mirror that's that's on top of some sort of thing in their living room. And he's like, taking pictures. And she's like, that's my Bryan. Like, I don't know what was going on. I need to know, was it a live photo, Heather? Did you hold down on it? What was going on? Because I don't know. I need to know. Anyways, one last thing that Heather and Jared talked about was how they found an email confirming that Bryan had been fired from his TA position. Again, we're going to get more into all those details and them complaints, y'all. Holy cow. In my next video about all this stuff. But here's what Heather and Jared said about it.
There were some emails that I'm not sure we talked about. Heather alluded to an email from a professor where she was essentially trying to set up a meeting with him because he had had some raised voices encounter with another professor in the office. The rest of that story is a few days later, they sent another email terminating him from his TA, his teacher's assistant position for the spring semester. He had written back a sort of note trying to appeal it and was saying, I won't have health insurance. I don't have money for tuition. So this getting fired from the TA position was going to be a big deal that he wasn't going to be able to return for school.
Now let's talk about how life has been for Bryan so far since he moved from the jail to the prison. Now, not long after Bryan was moved to prison, reports started to come out that he had made some complaints about like the other inmates, which it's always so funny to me when this happens. And if y'all watch my videos from years ago when I used to talk about prison and stuff and talk about when the new inmates would come in and, oh, the food is disgusting. Oh my gosh, this. And it's just like, oh, you're home now. You might as well get comfortable. You know, can I get a grievance? Like somebody was rude to me. You're at home. Kick your feet up. Anyways, it was reported that Bryan was complaining about the other inmates heckling him through the air vents all day and all night. Oh my gosh, you're in prison, Bryan. Like what? Like they're being mean to me. That literally, you guys. He allegedly said that he was not even able to sleep because of it. Like, why is this news? Like, I'm sure that the family isn't like wants to know that. Like, okay, good, right? But like at the same time, dude, where do you think you're at? Like, you're in prison. You better hope they don't release you into general pop. What are the guards going to do? They're going to go over and knock on the other, cell. Excuse me. Can you please be nice to Bryan through the vents? They don't care. They're in prison. Now the prison has acknowledged this report, and they ended up putting out a statement that said, we are aware of Kohberger's complaints about what he considers taunting. Incarcerated individuals commonly communicate with each other in prison. Hello. And it also said that Bryan Kohberger is housed alone in a cell, and IDOC security staff maintain a safe and orderly environment for all individuals in our custody. So in other words, he's safe. We're not putting him in a place where they can get him, but what do you want us to do about it? You want us to go, they're in prison, and they're in prison for a reason, which means they don't follow the rules, which means what are we going to do to them? And what is Bryan doing? He calls his mom all the time. And I know that I'm probably sounding really smart, but it's just mind-boggling to me. You know what I mean? Like, is he calling his mommy on his prison iPad? And she's like, you better tell the prison guards that they keep being mean to you through the vents. He needs to get comfortable because right now, that's easy. And you got to think, how did Maddie, Xana, Kaylee, and Ethan feel? He has got a long, long road ahead of him if he's filing complaints for people heckling him through the vents and having a problem sleeping. Anyways, after that incident is when the video of Bryan in his cell was leaked. Did you guys see that? Now, at first, I kind of thought it was AI because the way that he was like moving, and I could not believe that someone had actually filmed him in prison and released it to the public. I mean, I could believe it, but I'm like, whoever's doing this, like whatever, guard, it's too soon. You're going to get in trouble. Like, it's still really hot right now, but they're probably ticked too. I mean, it's prison, you guys. But it does appear that this video may be real. The Idaho Department of Corrections has since put out a statement and said, we are aware of the videos circulating online and are investigating the matter. While we cannot confirm yet the veracity of the videos, if verified, they are a clear violation of IDOC policy, and the parties responsible will be held accountable up to and including termination. We caution that some videos may be fake or AI enhanced. On July 23rd and again on July 25th, IDOC leadership sent 2 emails to staff reminding them of our policies and expectations concerning professional and appropriate use of technology and social media. Videotaping and public sharing security footage is prohibited conduct, and we will be reviewing all legal options, including criminal prosecution. The safety and security of our staff and incarcerated population remain our top priority. Now, what I want to say about that is, again, it's prison, you guys. There are people that pass away mysteriously in prison, okay? And they have investigations. Let's be so serious here, okay? They're going to investigate it. Also, the prison correctional officers, there is a revolving door. Shout out to all my correctional officers that's made it 20 years or plus. I mean, whoa, okay? But like, for the most part, it's a revolving door. You're going to get people in there, they don't care. You're going to fire me? Okay, I'm out the door anyways. It's prison. It's just so comical to me that like Bryan thinks he's getting some sort of special treatment. Anyways, here's a question for you that might sound a little crazy, but do you think that Bryan knew that he was being filmed? I think that he knew he was being filmed. I think that he's hyper aware of all of these things, and he's trying to figure out where he's gonna put his little chess piece next. Nevertheless, nobody released a video of him undressed or anything like that. I understand it is against their policy, especially for security reasons, but it is still comical to me, the things that are being made a big deal. We see videos of people in jails and prisons getting beat up, getting drugged, getting like drugged through cells, getting maced, all kinds of stuff. And this is being made a big deal because Bryan was looking at the box that looks like it probably had a TV in it. That's what the boxes look like that had TVs in them in the Day area many years ago here in Florida. So I don't know. I'm looking at some of this stuff and I'm going, please. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. Other than that, I will see y'all in the next video. Thank y'all so much for watching. I cannot wait to read y'all's comments and see what y'all have to say down below. Love you guys.